All right, welcome back in. Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey. The Zach Gelb Show on Radio Row for Super Bowl 51 is powered by the fine folks at Corona and Corona Light. And now joining us is the author of I Was There, and that's Eric Mirlis. Eric, thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Zach.
Well, thank you for coming on, and we appreciate it. So first off, we have a good mutual friend in Kenny Albert. He wrote the foreword to your book. So tell me a little bit, some funny stories about Kenny Albert and your relationship with him.
I love throwing him under the bus whenever I can. We actually go back. We went to college together way back in the Stone Ages, and I've happily ridden his coattails. He's let me for some reason. I'm not sure why, but he's let me ride his coattails for his career, and it's been a lot of fun. And when this book came along, he was one of the people that was behind the idea of doing this. And was incredibly helpful along the way in helping me get some people involved and contribute stories. And we've had a lot of fun over the years doing things like that.
Why write the book? What was the purpose behind the book?
Well, I never set out to write a book. That's the scary part. And as I mentioned, Kenny is one of the people that kind of pushed me to do it. I had the idea for these top 5 lists that I was playing with, and it just kind of struck a chord. It's a topic that everybody likes to share when they're sitting around with friends at dinners, and it just kind of blossomed from there. And Kenny and Rich Ackerman, who's another old friend of ours, they kind of pushed me down that road. Rich talked about it in the press room at Madison Square Garden with people one night, and got Dave Anderson's top 5 list, and he started rattling off, the 55 World Series and Super Bowl III and the Miracle on Ice. And the two of them got all excited when they heard that list and grabbed me and pulled me aside and said, you've got something. If you get the right people involved, you've got a book here. You've got the great concept, and now let's see what happens. So I did this back in 2007, and this is a sequel to that. And it's just been a lot of fun getting the chance to hear people tell these stories in a very personal manner.
And you got to read this book, because if you look at some of the people that are involved with the book, we mentioned Kenny Albert, his father Marv Albert. You also have Mike Breen, who I love Mike Breen, Joe Buck, who's doing the game on Sunday, Bob Costas, Colin Cowherd. It's a star-studded list that contributed to this book. Even the great Iron Eagle, who's always in a jovial mood and is very funny. Jim Nantz, the list just goes on and on and on. For you, when you put together this process and you're writing and you're texting, you're emailing, I need you to give me a few of your lists. I need you to do this. Take me through that process when you're interacting with not only friends of yours, but some of the greatest broadcasters we've ever heard from.
Well, I called in a lot of favors on this. I'm not going to lie. I've been lucky to be in this business for a long time, and got to know a lot of PR people and producers, not just broadcasters, and that's where I was able to get to the Bob Costases and the Jim Nantzes of the world and the Joe Bucks of the world through friends. And once I had someone that they respected reach out to them and give them the idea and tell them a couple people that were on board, everyone was pretty interested in taking part in it, and they all realized it's a fun topic. These are stories they tell anyway, and there's no pressure, there's no cameras that's making them say certain things on deadlines, and they don't have to watch their language, and they can kick back and just share stories and have fun, and that was what made it easy for me. Getting the interviews and doing the interviews was actually the easiest part of the whole thing, because I've been so lucky and have been able to make these friends that getting everyone involved, a lot of people just jumped up and said, sure, I'm happy to do it. Once I got the stories onto the recorder and had to transcribe it, that was a whole different story.
That's always a pain in the ass. It's always great when the interview is happening, but then you actually have to put it to print. That's the best part about my job. I just speak in front of a microphone, and then I don't have to type about it. If someone wants to type about it, go ahead and just maybe hopefully write something nice about us, but you never know. When you're getting a response back from Marv Albert, or you're getting a response back from Mike Breen, do you at least go yes or bang when they say that they're going to contribute to your book?
I'll get excited. I've been lucky. And I keep using that word, and it's true. Is that I've been very lucky in my career to have had the opportunity to work with Marv and Kenny and Mike Breen and Ian Eagle on a very personal basis. So in cases like that, I'm calling in favors. When Bob Costas is calling me at work because someone gave him my phone number and said you should get involved in this project, then I'm going to hang up the phone and say, that was awesome. that was unexpected. I certainly didn't expect to pick up the phone and have a message from Bob Costas on my voicemail. You do have those moments. There's no question you have those moments. For all of the stuff that we do in sports, we're still fans, not just of the games, but of the business and of the people that we grew up watching. And I grew up watching Marv. I've told Kenny this many times over the years, and I've told Marv this. When I was a kid, I wrote him a fan letter when I was in junior high school. So to have the opportunity to spend time working with him over the years and then have him involved in such a way in this book, it was a personal thrill. And there were so many of those along the way when I was putting this together.
Also with the book, you go through the great moments. Since we're here at the Super Bowl, you got to explore a lot of great moments in the NFL. Best Super Bowl you think you've ever seen?
I'm going to go based off of what everybody tells me. And Super Bowl 42 got a lot of discussion in this book. The David Tyree catch, and it's not just the David Tyree catch. It was everything that was going on around the Patriots, with them potentially going undefeated. You get things like that, where it's not just about the game and it's not just about something that happens in the game, but there's an overriding theme, which puts 42 right up, if not at the top of the list, certainly near the top. In New York, people talk about Super Bowl III. It's not talked about in this book. For whatever reason, I didn't get someone that was there. When I did this book back in 2007, a lot of people talked about it. Super Bowl III is going to be one of those that, again, a lot. From a historical perspective, it's going to be way up there. A lot of people talked about 49 and the Malcolm Butler interception and the way that game ended. And endings have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, because Super Bowl 42, it was a 17-14 game, and if Asante Samuel makes that interception, as much as I am a Patriot fan, I wanted to see them to win, but if he makes that interception, Asante, the one that he dropped, Tyree never happens. And then that Super Bowl is just looked at, that was the season that the Patriots went undefeated. It's not looked at with a great Super Bowl in that kind of context. I'll tell you, since we are in Houston, the last Super Bowl that was here in Houston, Patriots and the Panthers, that was a 32-29 game. And you have Ricky Prohl, who catches the game-tying touchdown, and he did the same thing when he was a member of the Rams going against the Patriots, and then Brady comes back down, and Vinatieri kicks the game-winning field goal. To me, Super Bowl 38, I don't think it's the all-time great Super Bowl, but it's one that people forget about how good it was with the high-scoring affair, Patriots and the Panthers.
One moment, and this is something I learned along the way, and not just in football, but one moment can dictate how everybody views a specific game. Rams-Titans wasn't an unbelievable game.
But everyone remembers it, down at the one.
The way the game ended raises that level, and people say, okay, well, now that was a great game. It wasn't a great game. The Giants-Patriots game wasn't a great, but you have those flashpoints. And you have it in all the other sports as well, but I think football really plays into that, where it's the big game and everybody's watching, and then you have that one moment that everybody grabs onto. And usually it's at the end of a game. Again, in 49 with the Malcolm Butler interception. Well, if they run the ball, that play doesn't happen, and that's all everybody wants to talk about. People forget about the play that got them down to the 1 yard line.
The catch.
The catch, the cursed catch.
See, that's a great point, because everyone goes, the Patriots got lucky to win that Super Bowl. Well, also, if Seattle runs it in, that catch is a lucky catch. You never see that kind of catch happen.
Football's a great game for what ifs.
It's amazing.
It really,
You're right.
it's a great game for what ifs. What if Tyree doesn't hang on to that catch? What if Eli Manning gets sacked? You know, he gets away from being sacked. He's running around back there. He almost went down. There are so many different what ifs in that one. And again, the fact that you had that whole undefeated season riding on what was one of the most...
It's historical.
Exactly. That's the fun part about all this. And that's the fun part about the stories that you get to hear, because some people latch on to the moment on the field. Some people latch on to the moment off of the field. A great example in this book is the 2001 World Series. And of the 65 people in the book, 10 people, more than any other event, talk about the 2001 World Series in some way, shape, or form. Now, if you think back to what was going on, there was overriding stuff that overpowered the stuff that was going on the field. Right after 9/11, in New York, right after 9/11, George Bush throwing out the first pitch before Game 3. Then you had what happened at the end of Game 4, and what happened at the end of Game 5, and what happened at the end of Game 7. Now people latch onto those individual moments as well. And you kind of get that feel of why that one stood out for so many people. And that's why we're in this business. That's why we want to talk about sports, is for moments like that. And where we were, whether we were in the stadium, whether we were watching at home on television, latching onto those moments and not forgetting them and saying, I know where I was, and I know who I was watching it with, and I know who I was sitting next to, and I know what I was eating for dinner that night. That's what all these moments are about.
And I have to imagine, when you look at the history of sports and we talk about that pride for one nation that everyone had after 9/11, I would have to assume, and I hate to rank these things like that, but in terms of pride for a nation, nothing could top what happened in 1980 with the Miracle on Ice.
Absolutely, and it's a bizarre. I mentioned Super Bowl III, that nobody talked about it. For whatever reason, the 65 people I talked to, I didn't get anybody that talked about that in this book. Believe it or not.
Really, especially with the movie giving it more legs for people of my age and my generation.
You had to have been in the building for it to talk about it. That's the prerequisite.
Oh, okay. That's the part I'm missing.
Yeah, you had to be in the building. Now, when I did this back in 2007, I got a lot of people that were in the building. Somehow, some way, and I don't know how it happened, I didn't get anybody that was in the building for this.
Wow.
And it's the one thing I would fix in this entire book is I would have found someone and made sure. I would have gone back to that first book and said, all right, who am I missing here? You know, I tried not to get too many repeats. There's only, I think...
Al Michaels wouldn't help you out with this book?
You know what? It's not that nobody wouldn't help me out.
Gotcha.
I didn't connect with them. We didn't hook up. I tried. I didn't hit the right person that was able to get me to him. If I were to do another one, that's the first phone call I'm going to make. Is I'm not starting the project until I have him committed to the book.
The book is called I Was There. Eric Mirlis is the author. Real quickly, before we let you run, just tell me where people can purchase the book.
It's available on Amazon, in Barnes & Nobles, and other major bookstores around the country, so it's pretty easy to find, and I hope everyone checks it out.
Appreciate the time, Eric, and tell Kenny Albert to get some sleep. That guy goes everywhere around the country, and even when he doesn't have to work somewhere, he's always somewhere around sports. I remember I was at a Met game, and I get a tweet, turn around to your left, and there was Kenny Albert. I go, this guy is always around sports. He never sleeps.
It's incredible, the schedule he keeps up, and like you said, I give him a hard time about it. I've been doing that for years. His dad kept the same kind of schedule that he does. It's just in his blood. And more power to him. I wish I could do that. It's funny, when I was getting ready to come down here, I was feeling a cold coming on, and I sent him an email quick, and I was like, all right, what's your secret remedy? Because I know you can't have a cold for very long. What's your secret remedy so I can get rid of this thing? And he goes, I don't know how it happens, but I don't get them. And I'm like, with the lack of sleep that you have, I don't believe that for a minute. But hey, more power to him. It's great.
I don't want to get sick, so I'm going to move away from you. I'm just kidding. Eric, we appreciate the time. Thank you.
Zach, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.